to go to my content. If I go to my content, let me go to what's due again, just to make sure. If I look at what is due for this Wednesday, is your assignment for your, what I call your phone voice AI agent assignment is due, where you have the audit instructions. You have chapter 10, which is information systems within the organization, plus what we call enterprise resource planning. For the adaptive part is due on Wednesday. Your quizzes are due on Wednesday. And these readings, which will be important about AI, that are due. You can see that this reading is about machine learning, the differences between machine learning and AI. They talk about different industries using machine learning. What's the difference between machine learning, data mining, and deep learning? This article talks about AI in general, artificial intelligence, the subfields of artificial intelligence, what are the challenges of artificial intelligence, and this article talks about generative AI work. Notice I've been asking questions there, so it'll guide you in answering the questions, and guess what? Then, Kristen, these are possible questions for the open-ended exams too, that probably a number of those that I will be possibly asking you about. In the audit assignment instructions, Lily, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, so not only does Daniel have he made like a Zoom video on like a step-by-step guide on how to set up your VAPI. You could also go into web links and the guys that spoke, what were their names again? They left a
They left, yeah. So if you go into this,
wow.
let me just open link under web links. They went more. They have a they also did. Let's see. They basically did a voice AI boot camp for us, and they basically also did building advanced AI agents, showing VAPI, right, of basically step by step of taking on VAPI. Part of this is really good, I think, in getting their first message and their system prompt. I think this would be really nice when you add it to your website. And not only do they allow you to have your voice agent telling you what the first message should be and the system prompt, but also you can pick what agent you're creating. An agent, they give you ideas if you want a different voice configuration, so they are basically even, they went into, if you wanted to, go to the provider of 11 labs, search on a voice, and you can do even they give you specialized voices there, voice configurations, and then they give you, which is nice, how to embed this into Wix. You won't have to do this for Wednesday, but for your application for your project, you may then want to assign somebody for your project, putting the VAPI as a widget into Wix along with their telephone number. So they basically you can get from VAPI the code, and you just have to paste in the code into Wix's dashboard. And you'll get this on Wednesday as well. But I'm just showing you, here's another different ways. Here's also a nice way that you see how they show instructions. So sometimes you can even show instructions as well for your phone number, and you can create then your phone number. And then when you create your phone number attached to it, you can have then generating your phone number, attach it to your website, and then say, call our AI agent. But also in what's due in the audit assignment, Daniel has, let me open it in a new tab.
Tuesday and Thursday, so I won't be able to.
Yeah. He's able to also show his Daniel share with the speaker. He has in Zoom, he created, you can see here, he created his on how to do voice.
So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do assignment 5, the phone voice.
So you can decide whether to look at, those of you that haven't done it, whether to look at the PDF step by step. Sometimes you want to go through also the AI as well. And this is fantastic in the way that you get a virtual AI agent for your own website. Plus, you can even provide that as a service. You understand that, Anastasia? So you could even say, do you want a virtual agent? You can give them an opportunity. You can show them that you'll give them a way. And later on, if a number of people want that, you could even charge for it. And helping them get an agent, sometimes you can even get them to buy a voice phone number as well. So this was basically this agent here. Okay, anything else that I need to talk about here?
For your
Lily?
assignment, make sure that your phone number actually works when you call it. Like maybe have a friend call it, because I will be checking.
Yeah, and you
to see
can
if
call it from
works.
your phone, have other people call it to see if
Yeah.
it's responding. Also, you need to call it and record it while you record it. So while
Right.
you're recording it, you should actually, when you're doing your Zoom, right? When you're going to be setting that up, and let me just go to, let me just even start with group 0. If I go to group 0, right, I should have not only, you should have your final project here, but you should have, for your group, you should have your phone voice AI agent assignment. And besides this, in your Zoom link, you should be showing, you should, how you call it, you should turn on the speaker of your phone and you'll be using it as well. So in this case, you'll be doing that. So you'll have your Zoom recording, and then of course you'll have your Zoom AI companion summary and reflections. The reflections, I'd like you to think about who could possibly use this, what kind of businesses could be using something like this virtual phone agent. And later on, you can get the improvements could be, then it could then bring in real management to talk to the potential users that are calling this phone number. So you could even have them, and then you could also have them improve their knowledge base by you adding to their knowledge base when people are asking questions that the virtual agent didn't know the answers to. So this is in terms of the assignment groups. Any questions on that? Anastasia, any questions on that? Pretty clear? Have you looked at the assignment, Anastasia?
Yeah, I looked at the instructions quickly today.
Okay, so it's the thing that's important, Anastasia, and you wanted to have everyone, is you need to save your work and publish it. And you need to take your phone number, the phone number you have, and it has to be assigned to an assistant. Because if it's not assigned to an assistant, it's just a phone number without a large language model attached to it. You got it? So we got that part. And if I look at the assignments then, right, that I should have then, I have campus keys AI, And then I have group 2, group 3. Yeah, group 4. Do you see that, Lily?
Yeah, but click on their link, it works.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'd like to see is their URL. So when they're showing me this, open in
That
new
that means they probably just named their URL that.
I'm not sure. No, they didn't. This is their URL.
Yeah. But like when they put it in the
My
assignment.
site, yeah. So you can do that in terms of, yeah, rather than that. And it's Orbit Estates, established 2025, an intelligent real estate platform that uses artificial intelligence to predict property values, identify market, and helps investors and agents make faster data-driven. Okay. And who's this for? So I'm asking this group. If I look at this group, Stephanie, Connor, Adam, and Daniel, who's this for?
For like helping, like a real estate consulting company, helping people find where they want to live.
Okay, so it's for my buyers, or it's for my
Yeah.
brokers, or it's for my salespeople, real estate sales.
Buyers,
What?
buyers.
So I would state it. And is it only, so I would say for buyers then, an intelligent plan that uses, but would it be useful for, because it says help investors, identify market and help investors, okay? And it says here agents. So is it help investors, agent, is it buyers too? If I'm not an investor, I just want it for myself. So that's it, right? This is our purpose. We provide, okay. And service, marketing, consulting, AI visualization. This needs to be, and you know what I would do here? I would put, and this is for all groups. Everybody with me? So the feedback I give for everyone, I give for this group is pertaining to everyone. If I look at this, Adam, are you here? Silverman? Is Adam here? So Connor, this is you. What I want here, and this is for everybody's group, I want you to talk about your team as what you do for your company. So the first sentence, Connor, I don't want to see Connor is a finance major with a minor in business and analyzing. I would like to say Connor does this. And at the end, you can do, he, is studying finance, and minoring. So I would put this in the same thing for Adam and Stephanie and Daniel. I don't see anything, but I would put that at the end. You see that, Lily? Any comments on that? So I would like to see this, and later on you'll be doing your other ones. So in this case, I would be able to change that. And then if I go back to the content for group 10, so Maya, Zara, Ryan, and Brooke. Brooke, are you here? Brooke Parker? Are any of these people here? Zara, Ryan, and Maya?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. Who's speaking? Who just said they're here?
Zara.
Okay, Zara, okay. So if I look at your site, this is nice. Next generation, so it's supposed to be, this is AITION Consulting. Let us help you take your business by adapting to a new generation in the world of artificial intelligence. I would put here, who is this for then, Zara?
This is for like business owners.
Okay, but it's small business, medium-sized business, large businesses.
Small, sorry.
Okay, so that's what I would do, and then I would focus, book a consultation. I would focus, and this is for everyone, is what problems are you trying to solve? And how will you solve the problem? So here, artificial intelligence market, I would read through this. There's a lot of words here, and I would pinpoint it more and make it more direct. And here we empower organizations to elevate themselves and embrace the modern world by integrating innovative technology and marketing that enhance productivity. It's vague. So I would hone in on this, grow your business with these tools. So you have here ChatGPT, Microsoft Pilot. Is that all? Or I guess you'll add more to it. But in this case, I think people know ChatGPT and Microsoft Copilot. I would instead answering questions that you can help them with. What are those problems? Start with what are the problems and how you can do, what are the solutions? And you can use these ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, and others to do it. And then here, this is good, Maya, and this is nice, Zara, right? And then Brooke, she uses efficiency. You can put, if you want, what you study. But I think this looks good. Follows on social media. I think you got next generation. Later on, did you make this Gmail? Does this Gmail work?
Yes, it does.
Perfect. So we got even a Gmail on it. And it's good that you put the university. They don't need to know. Some of you were even asking about in the university. And later on, you'll put your virtual number when you'll get your virtual number. But I would add to this on welcome is specifically what you can do. It looks good, but I'm not sure how you can help me. And like I can tell you that probably everybody's all right in their company has used ChatGPT, and a lot of them have used Copilot, but I'm not sure how that's going to help elevate my business. So give them more, what are the problems that you can solve with them? Okay, and this will be for everyone there. Any questions? So it's the same thing. So if I go back to then the assignment of what's due, if I look at what's due again, what's going to be important is that these articles that you can look at also, let me just go back up here, is you have PowerPoints about artificial intelligence from your slides. And what I want to make sure that you understand in artificial intelligence, especially in machine learning, we talk about supervised, semi-supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement. And what we talk about is deep learning. And then when I talked about it before, is the idea, the introduction to artificial intelligence. And when I hear about machine learning, Aaliyah, how is machine learning different from traditional computing? That'll be the question you need to answer, Aaliyah. So the idea in traditional computing, you know Excel, right? Aaliyah, you've used Excel before. Yes, no, you're gonna have to, we're recording.
Yeah.
Yes. When you put in a formula in Excel and you input numbers to that, every time you input numbers to that, you should get then the same answer. You agree with me? Every time you do that,
Yes.
you should get, Aaliyah, you should get the same answer. If you, by chance, Aaliyah, put in the wrong formula and you put in numbers, you will get the wrong answer. You agree with me?
Yeah, I do.
Now, will Excel come back and let's say I put in the wrong formula, say, Dr. Rush, you put in the wrong formula. The formula should be this way. Will that usually happen? That Excel will correct itself without my intervention. Aaliyah,
Sorry?
will Excel correct itself?
I mean, sometimes, not all the time. I mean, if you forget the parenthesis, it
If
would,
you get a
yeah,
parenthesis, it sometimes will start. It's
Yeah.
trying to become, with Copilot, Excel is trying to bring in some ways. What makes traditional computing, if you put in a wrong formula, it will continue to give you a wrong formula. If you've made a mistake, if you want to know how do I complete it, it will try to help you complete. If I want to do the sum, if I forgot a paren, it will try to let me do a paren. Order of completion, sometimes it will not correct me. The difference in machine learning is in machine learning, it will try to correct you. So in machine learning, in supervised learning, it will try to do its own correction. So basically, you can think about machine learning is the difference, Aaliyah, is that machine learning will get better over time. Machine learning will get more correct over time. Machine learning will become more accurate over time. In a supervised fashion, what you do in machine learning is you give it, in supervised fashion, Aaliyah, is you give it, for instance, the data and the correct answers and have it learn what is the relationship between the data and the correct answers. And then under supervised learning, you will give it the data and have it come back with the answers without knowing what it was in advance. And then when it makes mistakes, you will feed into the model which items it made a mistake upon and try to have it improve each time. That's what they call supervised learning. Now, in artificial intelligence, when we think about it, is that development then trying to simulate human intelligence. There was something by the Turing test, which was Alan Turing, who was a computer scientist, who said what would be interesting in this test is if human beings would be able to differentiate knowing if a computer answered the problem or a human answered the problem. And if it passed the Turing test, it means that the human wasn't able to differentiate it. There's something called weak AI versus strong AI, and basically all our ChatGPT is usually weak AI, using ways in which we can do repetitive ways or predictive ways to answer questions, but strong AI is basically more human intelligence than weaker. One of the things, this capability of this chart that you need to know here is this is changing. Artificial intelligence is getting better over time. The big advantage of preservation of knowledge is knowledge from humans are difficult to gather and to keep. If I have an expert in accounting, tax accounting in my organization, and we as a company always go to this person to get tax advice, what's the problem is, one is that person may leave our organization. Two, that person may be difficult to basically capture what that person knows. that cost of that knowledge is going to be more difficult, possibly erratic. So in this case, if I could capture that person's knowledge and put it into artificial intelligence, it could become more permanent. It could be more consistent. Creativity traditionally is AI is low and uninspired. This is changing, right? Everybody can see that. Traditionally, sensory experiences is more natural intelligence than an artificial intelligence. But in this case, recognizing patterns in relationship, it depends on what it is. It's getting better. For instance, in healthcare, for radiology, looking at patterns, it can, in many cases, be better than some people. Sometimes it can be, even in this case, drug discovery, things like that can be more. And in reasoning, AI is good when it's narrow. So you can think about it narrow, you can think about AI in improving the algorithms of AI, machine learning. They have something called expert systems where it's a narrow domain, let's say taxes. So it can be, I want to get my tax experts to transfer their expertise. So the expert system would be good for people that weren't trained, didn't have 20 years of tax experience. So it can then take large amounts of data, and it probably can perform maybe better than my novice users. So that's expert systems. The difficulty is, how do I transfer that experience? How do I get that reasoning process? And how do I do it? Machine learning, we talked about it. Machine learning is really good for the credit card industry. I give it the difference. This is really good machine learning if I have two types of data, good data and bad data. I have good transactions, fraudulent transactions. Life science is good machine learning. I want to discover different types of drugs. Retail, banking, also bad loans versus good loans. What are the characteristics? Anything that I can break down into two groups or cluster into groups is good in machine learning. Deep learning, I can think about it, is a lot of times speech recognition. It's really improved well, that I don't even have to train it to understand my voice, right? And go from speech to text. Image recognition, it's doing better. I can take my phone even and try to recognize what are the images. What it's still not good is in video, but that'll get better. Natural language processing, drug discovery, even though humans can do it, the amount of different permutations and combinations, that's where it can do well. Customer relation management, tell me about my customers, tell me who are my best customers, tell me who I can, almost recommendations, what can I sell to my customers, what type of products they like. You can think about that as almost Amazon, where it makes recommendations of what you should buy, what you should read. And then there's, of course, there's machine learning bias. They call it algorithmic bias, sometimes false positive. If I have to tell it, for instance, I can have it test for skin cancer. These are tumors that are non-malignant. These are tumors that are malignant. A false positive says, hey, this is a malignant tumor, where it really is not. So that's called false positive. When I get a phone call from a credit card company and I was just in Las Vegas and I was on a trip, it calls me and says, what happened? Did you really make a purchase in Las Vegas? It's trying to see if it's a fraudulent activity. It's not, so that's called a false positive. So here are the ideas of machine learning, like I talked about. Supervised, it means I as a human give it the data. I know what the input data is. I know what the output data is. I supervise it 100% of the time, and then I give it parts where I don't give it the answers. It's almost like, and it tries to find the semi-supervised. I give it part of it. Unsupervised, then I give it the data, let's say from my database on my banking customers, and I say, go find me something about these customers I don't know about that can help me sell them something more. Or unsupervised is find something in this MRI that I don't see as a radiologist that could be suspicious. Reinforcement learning is once it makes a mistake, keep on giving it reinforcement and it will then improve. Every time there's improvements of it on. And then neural nets are another type of artificial intelligence that basically it tries to mimic our brains. Our brains then have neurons, they have synapses, they have nodes, and the weights then, I change the weights based on my supervision of having it go back and forth and get better each time. I tell it biases, I give it its functions. Many times neural nets are used in banking for making a good loan. For bank officers then to say, this is a good customer to give a loan because if that person, I want to increase the probability that that person will pay me back. So that's using the neural nets, and you can see the same thing. It's weights, like in regressions, it's my beta weights. So you can see that as part of beta weights. So if I go back to my contents, then if I want you to look at these readings, and let me just open this in a tab. And if you look at these readings are important for you to read through. And I guarantee you questions will be coming from this chapter and from these readings. And this is the key, what I always ask you. Artificial intelligence, like all the other topics, is what it is and why it matters. So in this case, it makes it possible for machines to learn then from experience, adjust as it's training, and perform human-like tasks. And basically, you can see then the time frame of artificial intelligence, where it started with the early work in neural networks, as I said, thinking as a thinking machine, but thinking as those neural networks of those synapses, to machine learning. And you can see here on each of these, you can read, to deep learning, and through the generative AI. And the difference you can see in the last couple of years is generative AI really soared in popularity and went through the roof on the stock market, where we had OpenAI and Google's in the game, Microsoft's in the game, Oracle's in the game. Everyone is doing this and entering it there, where we have billions of data points. And that's why we need these huge data centers that we talk about. And the idea, what makes generative AI and why they call it generative, it generates new content based on human prompts. And of course, you're going to have the risks of it. And you can even click on this in terms of opening up a new tab where you have then generative AI. What it is and why it matters, where it's consuming existing data, it learns from it, and then it generates. The whole idea is it generates then data that where it can generate text, it can generate images, it can generate videos, audio, computer code. We've done that before. We've looked at it where traditional AI and machine learning then recognizes patterns, but generative AI, it basically generates new data. So in machine learning, you'll say, hey, I'll look at the pattern and say, oh, this is going to be a fraudulent transaction. In this case, in generative AI, it generates new data as the primary output. And here's an example. You can listen to it, the evolution of AI, which is nice, and even embracing that. So these, I really like these articles where they go into detail, and something that you want to look at, for instance, you can click on any of those and gain more access to it. You can see here, if I wanted to do in the deep learning as well, I could go into deep learning, and is a subset of machine learning, and it trains the computer to then do speech recognition, image identification, and predictions. So here's the idea: its ability to classify good and bad, fraudulent, recognize people, detect, describe using data. And you can think about it, Siri's and others have done it. You know that they need to be improved. Even Alexa, they need to be improved in this case. In the world, they're not so intelligent. So here in deep learning, you can see that it's done. Then here's examples of that deep learning and new classes of those neural nets that work hand in hand of it. So you can choose in this guide to get some data for that. And then the other part, what I like in this case, if you look at this one of machine learning, you can see the exact same thing: what it is, why it matters, the evolution of machine learning, from even when it started with the self-driving Google car, and all about machine learning algorithms, how recognition in this case, building models. And the whole idea here is, can I trust it? And then you also have to think about what are the disadvantages and what is it required to create then good machine learning. And here in good machine learning, what's important? I have to prepare the data well. I have to have accurate data before I put it in. Garbage in, garbage out. So I need it. Algorithms. I need to be able then to program those algorithms for my large language models. What do I want to automate? And I have to have it go back and improve each time in machine learning. And then I need to scale it up. And then who's using it? You can see financial services. We talked about it. Anti-money laundering. Remember machine learning? What is a fraudulent? Who's laundering money? Who is not? They're giving in. Are they doing cash over $10,000? It's basically get to know your customer. Machine learning in healthcare. You can think about it. All my wearables, all my sensors that I have in insurance. Underwriting, again, fraud detection is really quite possible. In life sciences, I can do drug discovery, but what's great about life sciences, even when you think about vaccines, where it used to take maybe 5 years, it can take less than a few months to do it. In public sector, you can think about it, detecting fraud, identifying theft. And retail, of course, my marketing campaigns and how it works. This company is called SAS. It was basically, you can think about it, is a software company that says, hey, we were dealing with statistics. Guess what? We want to do analytics and data insight. And they basically having to transfer data into the best decision and analytical insights. But guess what? It's all AI. AI transforms insurance, collaborating, solving global problems. Basically, in this case, can you explain the basics of AI technology, AI agents that you can think about, from machine learning to agentic AI? These are artificial intelligence. What is machine learning? What is generative AI? What are natural language processing? And now what is coming to be, you've all have probably heard of it, is what we call AI agents. So in AI agents, you could have a number of algorithms that can do a number of tasks together. And basically you could have, they basically almost having humans overseeing all these AI agents to do tasks. Questions? So the credit card industry was the first really to adapt it in machine learning. Why? Because who is responsible if there's a fraudulent credit card? It's the banks. The banks are the ones that are going to be responsible. So if they're responsible, then they want to make sure that the banks can distinguish between a fraudulent and not. And whenever they call you and you made that transaction, that's called a false positive. They're calling you because they think there's a possibility that there's a fraudulent transaction and they want to cut that out. They want to stop your credit card from receiving any more fraudulent transactions. But that's called a false positive. And what they try to do is once they call you, who's been called? Anybody been called? I think we asked last time. If they ever call you, they basically take that information and put it back into the system to improve it and say, model, this was a good transaction. So you have to learn from that and not, if this person took a trip to Las Vegas and she was at a restaurant, she was at a conference, that is probably when she bought something in kiosk in Las Vegas, that probably was a valid transaction. And go back and there may be some more correlations to set with it. And many times if you go abroad, sometimes the credit card company asks you to give them a call so they can know that you're going, let's say, to Rome. And usually you don't go to Rome, but they can put that into their machine learning algorithm that from June 1 to June 30th, you will be in Rome. And then probably those transactions will be valid and not fraudulent. Okay, so Wednesday, we will be giving the next assignment on your project. I'll be going through that. And then we will, the following week, review your work for your project. So I will give you all the instructions for your project on Wednesday. Okay, questions? Kristen, any questions? We're straight?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll stay with you after class. Lily, you want me to take attendance or?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I'll stay with groups that need the work. And then for Wednesday, what I'd like you to do is make sure you look at your project before you even go to the next step and make sure that you know what problems you're going to be solving for your potential clients and how you will be solving it. Okay. So we have that. You'll put the code in.
Yeah, I already did.
Perfect.